which are offered in the Vedas as spiritive activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank you all. I welcome you all on this early morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. We are going to go ahead and proceed to our next session, which is going to be the Srimad Bhagavatam study. But prior to that, devotees, if you could please unmute yourself, announce your name, so I can welcome you all in this platform. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Preeti Dasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Devi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you for your great chanting, and thank you for joining every day, Mataji. Please keep giving us your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindaksh Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. All glories to your consistent joining and listening to Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. Please keep giving us your association. Welcome.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Balavinda.
Hare Krishna, Vrinda, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. How wonderful you chant. Please keep joining Bhakti Sangha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjri Leela Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjri Leela Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to your wonderful chanting every day, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Please keep joining us and chanting with us, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the devotees, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Param Pavani Shama Devi Dasi from Baltimore, Maryland.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for joining this platform, Mataji. And please keep joining every day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj is my humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you very much for joining every day, Mataji. Please keep giving us your blessings and association. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devidasi from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you so much for joining Bhakti Sangha every day, Mataji. Thank you for chanting with us and thank you for listening to Bhagavatam. Hari Bol Mata, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Shyamagori Devi Dasi from Charlotte.
Thank you so much for giving us your darshan, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for hosting this program, Mataji. Many thanks for your association. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Devotees, we will go ahead and read a short introduction for His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj, because it is him that will be giving us the class today. His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj is a disciple of ISKCON founder Acharya. His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and he's also an initiating spiritual master within the ISKCON movement. Maharaj was born in New Jersey in 1947. Maharaj came in contact with the International Society of Krishna Consciousness in Denver, Colorado, at a very young age of 24. In 1973, he began practicing Krishna consciousness in New York City, and shortly thereafter began serving in the New Vrindavan farm community in West Virginia. That same year, he received initiation from His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. In 1986, His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj accepted the sannyas order and began preaching in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio. In 1995, he began serving as the resident sannyasi in Chicago, where he was based until 2013, when he relocated to Karlovac, Croatia. At present, Maharaj offers spiritual guidance around Europe, US, and India. Maharaj has also written a book called Krishna's Way, Natural Living, Krishna's Way, Natural Living, about the importance of Varnashrama and spiritual ecology. Here goes a brief introduction of His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj. Chandramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai. Devotees, I don't see that he has joined as yet. So if you want, please continue unmuting yourself, announcing your name, so I can get the pleasure of welcoming you all. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Danvat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. All glories to all the assembled devotees here. Thank you so much for regularly joining Bhakti Sanga Japa conference call. Welcome, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Danvat Pranam. My Danvat Pranams to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Shushmita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining Bhakti Sanga Japa conference call. Mataji, please keep giving us your association every day. Welcome.
Hare Krishna, Namataji, Danvat Pranam to you, Danvat Pranam to all the devotees, all glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Mohini Lakshmi from Detroit.
Hare Krishna, Mohini Lakshmi Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you very much for giving us your association on Bhakti Sanga Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep joining. I noticed that His Holiness Chandramauli Swami Maharaj has already joined. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Maharaj. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all our Guru Maharajas. Maharaj, today we are going to study from Canto 7, Chapter 8, verse number 8. Whenever you're ready, you can take the call over. Hare Krishna.
Glories to Prabhupada, my obeisances. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sareshwaram Kala Urukrama Sav Ojasaha Sattva Balendriyatma Saeva Vishwam Paramam Swasaktibi Srijatya Vayati Gunadraye Saha. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supreme controller and time factor, is the power of the senses, the power of the mind, the power of the body, and the vital forces of the senses. His influence is unlimited. He is the best of all living entities, the controller of the three modes of nature. By his own power, he creates this cosmic manifestation, maintains it, and annihilates it also. Since the material world is being moved by the three modes, and since the Lord is the master, the Lord can create, maintain, and destroy the material world. Omagyan Timirandasya Gana Jana Salakaya Chaksun Malitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobistam Staptitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadati Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Sri Makti Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pasyatya Desatarine Vanchakalpa Tarubhischa Pipa Sindhupe Vachapatitanam Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The material energy consists of three modes. These modes are energies that influence the conditions of living entities to act and think in a certain way. These modes are very powerful, and they're created by the Lord. The Lord maintains them, creates them, and destroys them through his different energies. Through the creation, he does it with Lord Brahma, through the maintenance, Lord Vishnu, and through the destruction, Lord Shiva. So this verse is just showing the all-powerful influence of the Supreme Lord in connection with the movements of the material energy. So for those who are actually thoughtful, they can understand behind the force of these material energy, there is someone or some power that's making it all act in a certain way. There is a class of people who think that the material energy is independent and does and moves by its own accord. And when there is change, it's simply a combination of different energies moving in the material energy to make changes and develop and to reduce and destroy. That may be true, but ultimately there is a force behind all of that that's making it all happen. Just like whenever you see something happen, there is someone who's made it happen, although you may not see it. For instance, when you switch on your light in the room, you pull a switch and the light automatically goes on. So is the switch the cause of the light coming on? Yes, but is the switch the cause of the light itself? No. A light is coming from another source, which is the powerhouse. And that powerhouse is maintained by a person who conducts that energy and distributes it through various electrical arrangements. So when you see something that you can't connect it with its source, you have to understand there is behind it, there is some intelligence. Because nothing works by chance. And chance is a word which means I don't know. When people say chance, it means I don't know. So chance is not a cause of anything. Things don't happen by chance. Things happen by a force that is being directed by a person. In other words, an intelligence. And in this case, the supreme intelligence, or the source of all of the intelligence, is the Supreme Lord himself. And everything moves by his will, it says here, controls the time factor, the senses, the mind, the body, the vital senses. And this is spoken by Prahlad Maharaj to his father to respond to his father's challenge. Where do you get your power from? And beyond that, there is a source of power. And there are a class of people who cannot understand that, and they speculate, but their philosophy and their conclusions are always incorrect because it's simply based on mental conjecture. I remember I was sitting one time in Niagara Falls in New York, and there we were watching this gigantic waterfalls from a distance. There was a place where you could stand and watch everything, and these powerful waters coming. You know, millions of gallons of water flowing over the side of this gigantic mountain. and it's happening so fast that these gallons, millions of gallons are like practically every minute. There's so many unlimited water just flowing over. So it's a sight, it's power. So we were sitting there watching, and there was a little boy next to us. And he was being somewhat amazed to see it. So he turns to his mother. The boy must have been about 6 years old. He turned to his mother and said, "Mommy, who created that?" So, and she said, "Well, actually, it's nature." And in other words, she couldn't give an answer. All she said, it's nature. And one of our devotees happened to be there. And he turned to the lady and said, "Actually, it's created by God." And then she responded to her son in the same way. So, yeah, so anything that is phenomenal within material nature cannot be connected with an ordinary person, way beyond the abilities of an ordinary person. So here, the whole material energy itself is so complex and so gigantic. And Srishti Stisti Palaya, it can create, it can maintain, and it can destroy. But it's doing it through the agency of the Lord's energies. And behind the Lord's energies is the Lord. Just like behind the electrical energy, there is the powerhouse, and behind the powerhouse, there's the person who's operating the powerhouse. So everything has a cause. Nothing is happening by chance. One time, one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada's talking about this idea of chance, how nothing happens by chance. So one devotee was saying, "Well, Prabhupada, I was taking a shower this morning, and the shower piece broke off and fell and hit me on the head. So that was chance." Prabhupada says, "No, because you're a rascal. And that's the reason why it happened. So the cause is you're a rascal." so behind everything there is a cause. It was an interesting response by Srila Prabhupada. And so here, we devotees can accept the fact that behind everything is the hand of the Lord. Go to the next verse, verse number 9. Janasuram. You go to the Sanskrit. Jan asuram bhavam imam tam atmanam samam mano dvasta nashanti vidvi saha vitejitam atmana utpate stitat tadiyan antasya mahat samarhanam. Translation. Prahlad Maharaj continued, "My dear father, please give up your demoniac mentality. Do not discriminate in your heart between enemies and friends. Make your mind equipoised towards everyone. Except for the uncontrolled and misguided mind, there is no enemy within this world. When one sees everyone on the platform of equality, one then comes to the position of worshiping the Lord perfectly." Very interesting statement. Purport. Unless one is able to fix the mind at the lotus feet of the Lord, the mind is impossible to control. As Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita 6.3.4, Chanchalahi mana krishnaham pramati balavadridham tasyaham nigamhan manye vayoridam saduskaram. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, it seems to me more difficult than controlling the wind. The only bona fide process for controlling the mind is to fix the mind by service to the Lord. We create enemies and friends according to the dictation of the mind, but actually there are no enemies and friends. Pandita samadarshanaha. Samas sarvashu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. To understand this is the preliminary condition for entering into the kingdom of devotional service. Is there more, or is that it? Can't see. Okay. So here, so our conception of a reality is based on the principle of the feature of the mind. When the mind is happy, everything looks nice. When the mind is unhappy, everything looks unhappy. When the mind is focused on the Supreme Lord, then it's engaged above the three modes of material nature, and therefore it can become fixed or controlled. The three modes of material nature are always moving, and therefore when one fixes their mind on the material energy, the mind cannot be controlled because the material energy is chanchala, it's flickering. It is unsteady. The modes are always competing for supremacy. Therefore, the mind is also dragged by the movement of the modes of material nature. So what is being said here is that one cannot control the mind in a material way. One can only control the mind when you bring it to the spiritual platform. And here it says, when one worships the Lord perfectly, then the mind can be controlled. And part of that understanding is to come to the platform of dhira. Dhira means that one doesn't see the dualities of this material world. They see only this material world working in such a way, and they use it for the service of the Lord. Therefore, they don't conceive good or bad. Everything can be used in the service of the Lord. But here, it says that he's talking to his father, because his father, Hiranyakashipu, said, "You're siding with my enemy." When Prahlad was giving him instructions, and then he's saying, well, you're actually, my enemy is Vishnu, and you're siding with Vishnu. Therefore, you're siding with my enemy. One minute. But Prahlad Maharaj says there are no friends and enemies. It's just a feature of the mind. Just like we see sometimes we make friends with someone, and then after some time, that person is no longer a friend, he's an enemy. Sometimes people become our enemy, or they make us our enemy, and then things change. And then it's no longer enemies anymore, it's friends or neutrals. So what is it? It's the feature of the mind who determines what is good and what is bad. That's why Lord Chaitanya made a very powerful statement. He said, some people say this is good, and some people say this is bad, but I say this is all mental speculation. Everything in this world is bad. So what did he mean? What did he mean by saying everything in this world is bad? Because everything in this world is meant to take one away from the goal of life, Krishna consciousness. But everything in this world can also be good when it's used in the service of the Lord. But outside of the service of the Lord, it has no real value other than bringing the conditioned souls farther away from their relationship with the Supreme Lord. So in that sense, he says it's bad. But then also in that same verse, he says good and bad are simply conceptions of the mind. So we see here the same thing is being emphasized by Prahlad Maharaj. When one comes to devotional service, they see every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna. Although they see the body, they understand within the body is that soul who is a spiritual entity, who is not material, who belongs to Krishna, who has nothing to do with this material energy. And so they don't make distinctions between friends and enemies because they see everyone ultimately as an energy of the Lord or a spiritual being. Although they see that person, maybe they are within the material world, but they at the same time, they are not material. So Vaishnav sees everything in relationship to reality. In this world, people live in illusion. They see everything in relationship to their own happiness and distress. This is good because it makes me happy. This is bad because it doesn't make me happy. This is useless because I can't see any value in it. So everything is given different labels by people in this world. And therefore, there is no stability and no understanding. When people live in the world of illusion, they accept reality in the sense that whatever works for me is reality, and what doesn't work is also reality, but coming in a different form. But we say that in this world, nothing is real because everything is changing, therefore it's temporary. And it's also meant to cause the living entity difficulty. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Dukkhalayam asasratam, that this material world is temporary and miserable. It's temporary and it's at the same time miserable. He doesn't say temporary and happy, he says temporary and miserable. Because the misery is, it takes one away from the goal of life. So here we're seeing a little bit about that the mind is like a mirror. It reflects inside what's outside. Prabhupada gives an example like that, how one sees the world in terms of the consciousness that one has developed. That's why no two people see the same thing in the same way. They may be similar, but not exactly the same. Because the conditioned mind is what it is. It sees things according to its own conditioned nature. And the example Prabhupada gives is that there is an old man, he's sitting in the living room and his wife is in the kitchen cooking. This old man is deaf, he can't hear well. So he's waiting for his wife to cook the evening meal. And he calls, he gets a little impatient, and he calls, "My dear wife, when will his supper be ready?" And she calls back to him and saying, "Just be quiet, read the newspaper, I'm still cooking." And so after some time, he calls again, and she again calls back. And this time he's thinking, I'm calling my wife, and she's not answering me. She must be deaf. But he's deaf because he can't hear her responding to his call, but he's thinking she's deaf. So this is how the material energy works in such a way as Atmanam Manyate Jagat. Everybody thinks everything works according to the way they think. But everything works under the control of the Supreme Lord. If you want to understand how things actually are happening, one has to take knowledge from Krishna or from his pure devotee. And then you can see things clearly and understand what is valuable and what you can leave aside. And then the devotee can make progress towards the goal of life. Otherwise, the mind will always give you, here, this particular verse quoted by Arjuna, that he's saying, mind's impossible to control. It's unsteady, turbulent, obstinate, very strong, restless. If you'd ask me to control the wind, it might be easier. But Krishna ultimately in the next verse, and then he says, yeah, but if you engage the mind in the service, or he said, abhyasena tu kuntaya vairagyena chigriyate. If you practice, his practice means engaging it in devotional service, and you stop trying to control the material energy through your mental proclivities and abilities, then you can gradually bring the mind under control. When the mind is under control of the self, then the mind reflects the pure self through its activities. When it's not under the control of the self, it creates its own sense of reality. And therefore, people are always fighting with each other, disagreeing with each other, because everyone has a different conception of what is right or what is wrong, what is important, what is not important. So the world goes on like that. And so this place is called, it's a funny farm. It's just a place of people who are completely nuts. They have no brain. Their brains are somewhat destroyed because they simply accept illusion as reality. So therefore, we don't give credit to anything, any activity in the material world, because it's being explained and manipulated by people whose minds are under the control of an illusionary conception of reality. But Krishna says, one who sees me and everything in me, I am never lost to him, and nor is he ever lost to me. So that verse comes down to the reality that everything is actually the energy of the Lord, and the Lord is within his energy, and the Lord is also moving the energy by his different energies. He uses one energy to move another energy, but he is behind it, everything is there. So one who engages in devotional service is not affected by the movements of the material energy, because they know behind the material energy is the controller. Therefore, they are engaged in the service of the controller. Therefore, their minds are fixed and not being thrown from side to side by the movements of the material energy. Okay, hey, these are some things we can think about. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. What a wonderful, extremely, extremely important class. Thank you giving us all those tips. I have a couple of questions. as you were saying, the mind is chanchalam, right? So it goes from places to places, and the only way to fix the mind is that when we offer the mind to his lordship at the lotus feet of Krishna. But the question is, we can do all the services, we are doing japa, but it's still not, the mind is still not there. It goes and it's still not there, Maharaj.
That's why Krishna answers Arjuna's question in the following verse. He says,
Yes.
by constant practice and detachment from material activities, one can gradually bring the mind under control. It's not going to happen immediately. It's a process by which you engage in devotional service, and gradually you start to control the mind, because the three modes of material nature are not that you can't fix yourself on something that is constantly changing. But Krishna and the spiritual energy is above the three modes. Therefore, when you come to the spiritual platform, then the mind can be controlled, not on the material platform. But Krishna says practice.
Yes.
The practice is to engage, to remain steadily engaged in devotional service. If you think that you can be successful as soon as you begin, then you'll find yourself being bewildered. You have to practice. You have to understand the mind is chanchala. This verse by Arjuna is very instructive. He teaches, when Krishna tells him to control the mind, he says, I think it's more difficult than control the wind. So everybody's mind is like that. It's wild. We go to sleep at night, and then the mind takes us in other realms of existence too. We wind up in different places we don't even want to be.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're doing something, and all of a sudden a thought in the mind will come up, and you'll wonder, where's that thought coming from?
Yes.
So the mind is a composite of all of our activities and desires from previous lives, along with this life. So the mind is not so easy to control, because it's filled with impressions, desires, opinions, everything from our activities in the material world,
Right.
life after life after life. Because when we leave the body, we take the same mind to the next body. The gross body dies, but the mind and the intelligence and the sense of material sense of identity carries us to the next body. And therefore, we start again with the same mind that we left off in the last life. That's why sometimes people can remember things from previous lives, or things from previous lives come up in dreams, and people cannot connect certain experiences, mental experiences, with anything they're doing in the present, because a lot of these thoughts and desires have come from previous lifetimes. They remain in the what they call unconscious, and they come to the surface sometimes in dreams and sometimes by circumstance. And the conscious part of the mind is the smaller part of the mind. The unconscious part of the mind is greater. But as we become Krishna conscious, we expand the power of our mind, and the mind becomes more and more broad. And we use more of our mind, and the mind can actually take us beyond the three modes of material energy. As it connects with the source, Krishna himself, or the power of the spiritual energy. Like yogis, they meditate. They raise the life force through the different chakras, through the process of meditation, and bringing that life force all the way up to the Brahma Rudra, the highest form of the highest chakra within the material body. And then they can project themselves to another planet by the power of their meditation. So this is an example of how yogis have power. They practice mind control through different forms of meditation. But we can do it directly simply by connecting with devotional service. And when you're thinking of Krishna, Krishna is not part of the material energy. He's above the material energy. So your mind is also going outside of the material energy into the spiritual realm when you think of Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. Question is how to, even when we are thinking of Krishna, the impressions, as you said, from the material world is still there and the thought comes. It's so difficult sometimes to become like thoughtless or impressionless and to really try to devote the mind at Krishna's lotus feet. Even though the want is there.
It's a process of
Yeah.
it's a process of creating that consciousness.
Right.
Doesn't come automatically. You're still dealing with the conditioned mind from previous births and from this present situation. So thoughts, desires, and many other things will come up in the mind to disturb one's attempt to focus on the Supreme Lord. But gradually, as Krishna said, constant practice, he uses the word constant, he didn't say practice, it's constant practice, and detaching oneself from material activities. Then the mind can be fixed on the higher realm of existence.
Yes. Thank you so much, Maharaj. Maharaj, one more question. You were talking about chance. Everything is by chance. Then I'm thinking, where is the free will then? Even though minute, we still have a little bit of free will. But if everything is a chance, do we actually even get a chance to execute the free will?
No, I didn't say, I say chance means you don't know.
I see.
No, there is no.
I mean, like nothing happens by chance. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
So
right.
it's like everything is predetermined. Everything, like even the following, you gave the example that the thing fell on his head is, yeah, everything happens. So then
there's a cause behind everything. That's the answer. That's the understanding. Everything has a cause. Chance means I don't know.
Yeah, so nothing happens by chance. Everything is kind of predetermined. So where do we actually execute the free will? Because even at minutest, we have the free will.
You have the free will to choose how to act and how to
respond.
Yeah. But the what was I gonna say? The source behind everything is Krishna. He is the cause of all causes. Ishwar Parama Krishna Sachit Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karnam Karnam. If you trace everything back to its source, you come to the Supreme Lord.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you so much. I have so many questions, but I'll go ahead and ask the. I have Shukagara Prabhuji. Prabhuji, would you like to go ahead and ask your question, please? Otherwise, I'll keep on asking questions too.
Thank you, Nina Mataji, Dandapanam. Thanks for allowing me to ask. And my favorite is Chandramauli Maharaj. I get such a good answer from Maharaj. Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance at your lotus feet. Maharaj, now from Bhagavad Gita, what we learned is Sitosna Sukha Dukkata, and then Agama Apayano, and so the next thing is that Man Apamana. So Sitosna is at the sensory level. We get happiness, heat, cold and all. And the Sukha Dukkha we're getting for the mind. We feel happy and sad. And then Man Apaman again the false ego level. So for this, what we have learned from Srila Prabhupada is the sense can be controlled by having prasadam, only prasadam. Mind by chanting. And intelligence can be controlled by Bhagavata and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Bhagavad Gita. And the false ego can be removed by Sadhu Sanga. So we have been hearing that chanting is 95% most important. But in one lecture I heard Prabhupada told Sadhu Sanga is the most important. So I was getting confused. Because Bharat Maharaj fell down from the bhava stage, he had to become an animal. So is that Sadhu Sanga is very, very important. I want you to throw light on that, Maharaj.
Yeah, well, you just answered it by saying Bart Maharaj fell down because he was without Sadhu Sanga. He was alone in the forest, and therefore he became victimized to his own mind. When Sadhu Sanga is there, the support of the association of devotees allows one to perform the activities in the right way. In other words, we get inspiration from the devotees. We get opportunities for service in the association with devotees. We get we get abilities to get rid of our material attachments and material tendencies in the association. So yeah, the foundation for all of the other activities, such as hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, is Sadhu Sanga. As the verse said, Satam prasangam mamavirya samvido bhavanti ritkarna sayana katha. So that verse says, in the association of Satam, those who are above the material energy, in other words, the great souls, when hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord becomes, a direct experience. So we perform the activities in association.
But still, Prabhupada has told 95% depends on chanting, other things are the 5%. So I was getting confused in that. If somebody is having katha is hearing, but not able to chant more than 16 rounds, so is that katha to be given importance or to do more chanting and no katha? That's what I want to know.
Well, both of them are Krishna conscious activities. Both are glorifications of the Lord. So once they're non-different. So we have prescribed amounts of chanting that is given to us by the spiritual master. We follow that. If we do that much, then we can take part in other activities of glorification of the Lord. So that's fine. Or if you want to chant more, you can also do that. So,
but why the enthusiasm is more in hearing than chanting? Because chanting, sleep is coming and not, sometimes it drags. But when you hear Bhagavatam, your katha, you don't know how the 1 hour passes.
Well, that could also differ from person to person too.
Oh.
Yeah, some people are more inclined to one thing, another, but they're all spiritual activities. Some are more inclined to chanting, some are more inclined to hearing, some are more inclined to service. But because the inclination may be slightly different, still they're all spiritual and they're all meant to elevate the consciousness towards Krishna. But the essence is, to chant the holy names of the Lord, which is the foundation by which all of the other activities get their potency from. That's why we put chanting first. So
the taste for other activities will come only when you chant properly, the foundation. If that is done, the other things will follow. Is like that.
That's been given emphasis by Lord Chaitanya as the Yuga Dharma. So just like when you want to build a house, the foundation will determine how strong the house is. So in our practice of Krishna consciousness, our foundation for developing in all is all based on chanting. We may be expert, a person may be expert in other areas, but they cannot sustain that unless they actually engage in chanting.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maharaj. I have a wonderful question in the chat box. It's by Shiv Kumar Prabhuji. He's writing.
Mataji, why don't you take the hands that are here first instead of doing the chat? The chat box can be done when we have no more questions. There's three hands are up here.
Yes, absolutely. Jyoti Mataji, would you like to go ahead with your question, Mata?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Danvat Pranam, Guru Maharaj Ji. My question to you is, you mentioned about the 3 modes and the subconscious mind. So I was thinking the conscious mind which is available to us is definitely an ignorant among the three. Is my understanding correct? Because more we purify, then the subconscious mind will be revealed. But you mentioned also that the mind broadens. So how that broadens means it goes, we are able to access to the subconscious mind. Is it like that? These
Broad,
terms are
broaden means awareness. You become more and more aware.
aware
When-
of subconscious mind.
The subconscious mind is similar to the conscious mind, only it remains in a hidden state of existence. That's all. The same things are both in the subconscious and in the conscious. But the subconscious is a culmination of all of the activities that are there from previous lives. It's like the example will be a computer. You know, if you have a computer, when you're operating the computer, there's something up on the screen. And so you're dealing with what's on the screen. But you know, within the computer, there is unlimited amount of information. And that would be compared to the subconscious. And what's up on the screen is compared to the conscious. So the mind is similar to a computer. It has both conscious and subconscious like that. So when something from the subconscious comes to the conscious mind, then it becomes a feature of the conscious mind. That's all. But it's not that it's a different. It may be different quality, but not necessarily. Could be just our experiences from previous lives. Like we don't remember our death. That remains. We've died so many times in previous lives, but that remains in the subconscious. That experience of dying is there. But if that were to come to the conscious mind, then you would become, frightened and fearful. So that stays in the subconscious mind, but it's there. There was an experiment done in the BBT on it was a public broadcast. They put a person in meditation, and they brought her back to another realm, and she went into a previous life, and then she started to really become very frightened. They had to stop the experiment because she was seeing her death in a previous life. So the unconscious mind protects us from what was there from the past, either both good and bad. We have to deal with the reality of our conscious existence and not unconscious. We work with the conscious mind.
So is my understanding correct, Maharajji, that we are unable to access both the conscious and unconscious? If we are alert, then only we can able to understand what exactly is going. But if we are not alert, or say we are not in that platform, then we'll not be able to understand what is going around us in our consciousness. Then what happens with the chanting? So chanting first purifies the consciousness which is present on the screen, and then it deals with the rest of the storage information stored in the subconscious. Is it like that?
Yeah. Just like, for example, when you begin your chanting or you begin the process of devotional service, your activities start to change. But that doesn't mean your desires are changing. The desires are more on the subtle level. You're still working to purify your desire, but your activities change immediately. For instance, we give up, illicit sex, intoxication, meeting, and gambling. So we no longer perform them. But the subtle aspects of these same sinful activities still exist within the subconscious mind and can also come to the conscious mind. So unless we continue with the process of purification, those subconscious attachments will again come to the conscious mind. Just like they say, for instance, sex life. So you give up sex life, but then again, what is the subtle aspect of sex life is profit, adoration, and distinction. Want to be popular, want to be glorified, want to be seen as important. These are subtle aspects of the gross aspect of sex life. So every gross activity has a subtle connection that remains within the unconscious part of the mind. So until both of those, both the subtle and the gross are purified, then one hasn't reached perfection yet. Because that subtle aspects will carry us to the next life, and then we begin again in another body with the same desires.
Maharaji, I have one more question. Say we see that our desires are not that strong, that they are ruling us right now as we are trying to practice. But what if they become overpowering later, I say 10 years, 15 years? There'll be some hypocrisy in our mind or in our consciousness. Then how the devotees deal with it? Because I feel sometimes I'm doing something, but in reality, I need to do something more. Then I feel Lord has given me so much. Now I'm able to do so much, but still I have to maintain, or I have to pull back my conscience to the duties. At that time, I feel little hypocritic because I know what I'm doing and still doing material work. So I just wanted to know how to deal with this.
Well, you still have attachments to the material, therefore the mind is not fully purified yet. And so as long as there is attachment there, either subtle or gross, the mind will be drawn back to those attachments. Attachment is a force that connects one with one of the three modes of material energy. Depending on the quality of the attachment, it either fits in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. So you have to control the mind by bringing the mind to Krishna and engaging in devotional service. And then gradually all of these other, what we say, flickerings of the mind drawing us back to these other areas will gradually decrease. And then one will keep the mind focused on the spiritual. Then it becomes more natural. So it's a process of purification. That's all we're talking about. It doesn't happen as soon as you begin. Like when you go if you're going on a trip, you still have to get there. So you have to go through whatever territories you have to travel to get to your destination. You're not there as soon as you begin. So in the same way, you're still going to have to deal with your mind until it becomes purified through the process of glorification of the Lord and serving the Lord in the association of others. It's a process.
So true, Maharaj.
Don't become
Yes.
overwhelmed by the fact that you're not perfect yet.
Sometimes I'm afraid of intelligence, that more I'm aware I'm not able to do. I don't know what intelligence will make me to do, and when, if I'm not able to.
Well, you can get strength from association. You'll get strength, you'll get encouragement, you'll get purification when you associate with advanced devotees. That will move you along quickly on the path of purification. And that's the most powerful force that we can access from the outside is devotee association, senior devotee, or you might say elevated association. And on the individual level, we read the books, we chant, we serve.
Yes, so true. I'm so eternally grateful to you, Maharaji. I'm really eternally grateful. I still want to inform you that I really chant loud when I'm not able to deal with the things that are affecting me in day in, day out. I'm so grateful for your advices that you have given, and I daily go through your notes. I'm so grateful to you.
Keep going. As you'll reach perfection if you just continue.
Yes. I'll try to do my best.
Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. Wonderful questions.
And as we make advancement, there are symptoms of those advancement. We become peaceful. We become free from anxiety. We don't find fault with others. We are satisfied with whatever service we're doing. These are all symptoms.
Satisfaction is not good, Maharajji. We little bliss and then whole next day chanting is spoiled. Some contentment, then I am drawn by it, and I hanker. I just go behind it. I don't know when I'll grow and when I'll have that spiritual thinking or life. Still in material world.
Rupa Goswami says, enthusiasm, determination, and patience. Patience.
We'll try. Thank you so much. Eternally grateful to you and Danvat Pranam to you. A heartfelt Danvat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. Great questions. Supriya Mataji, would you like to go ahead and pose your question, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, I have heard this from Bhagavad Gita that Krishna says, I am the sex which is according to dharma and religious according to religious principle. Okay, but and I am in the gambling. Sorry, amongst the cheat, I am the gambler. So why don't we allow gambling when we allow sex according to dharma? So why don't we allow gambling in our 4 regulative principles?
Gambling falls under the category of mental speculation and trying to get something for nothing. Everyone is guided by their previous karma, at least on the material level. So you cannot increase your happiness, nor can you decrease your suffering, or vice versa, simply by speculating and trying to increase your happiness through these false methods, such as gambling and taking chances and manipulating the material energy. And there's a verse. It's from the 1st canto, 5th chapter, verse number 18 in the Bhagavatam. It says that one is allotted so much happiness and distress, as long as this is in the material sense, and as long as one should not, try to increase their happiness, nor try to decrease their distress. One should just engage in devotional service. That's all. And then automatically you'll come to the platform of real happiness, or what is called Brahma Sokyam, that happiness that is spiritual. And one will gradually, because on the spiritual level, there's no such thing as distress. Distress falls into the category of material. So gambling is, the thing is, you can't increase your happiness and decrease your distress simply by speculating or engaging in different kinds of gambling.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maharaj, I have few other questions. Maharaj, when you were discussing with Jyoti Takne Mataji, then you said that right now, just now,
Okay.
you said that sex has this gross activities has a subtle repercussions or subtle cause something behind it, like sex has a profit, popularity, and
profit, adoration, distinction. Yeah.
So can you tell what happens with the other regulate our other activities such as gambling, meat eating, and
the subtle aspects of those things?
Yeah.
I'm not so much aware of all of them. I know what Prabhupada said about sex life and how it, once you stop it on the physical level, on the gross level, then it doesn't mean, just like the example would be given is, if you want to cut a weed, you can cut the weed at the level of the earth, but still the root is in the soil. And in due course of time, that root will again grow and the weed will reappear again. So the Krishna consciousness means to get rid of the qualities, the bad qualities, both on the physical level, gross level, and on the subtle level, the unseen level. So each one of these gross activities has a subtle connection also. So as far as meat eating is concerned, I don't know. You give that up, and then I cannot. I haven't come across any statements about the subtle aspects of each one of these things. But there is a book. It's called The Four Regulative Principles. It was done by Satya Raj Prabhu. He goes into these details in both the subtle and gross of the four regulative principles. If you can get a copy of that book, it's about the four regulative principles. He really explores it very deeply using Shastra.
Okay. Maharaj, one more question is about the soul purifying. Mm, we use these different techniques like japa, etc., to purify, and I don't understand when it is mentioned here in Canto 2, Chapter 2, verse number 24, that when say Mahatma's soul, when it tries to go to the Brahmaloka, it passes through the Vaishvanara planet, which is a planet of a deity fire, and where they get completely cleansed of all contaminations. So what exactly happen when we say it gets cleansed? Because I mean, my understanding was a soul cannot be changed, it cannot be washed, cannot be cut, etc. So what do you exactly mean when it passes through the fire, it gets cleansed?
Well, the uncleanliness is the contamination of the material mind, that's all. When the mind becomes pure, and it reflects the nature of the pure soul, but as long as the mind is impure, the soul is still acting on the material level. Therefore, it appears to be impure. But the soul is never impure, because the soul is pure spiritual energy, part and parcel of Krishna. So the material mind covers the pure soul to whatever degree. And for the yogis, they travel through different levels, but still they're taking their conditioned mind up to a certain level. So when they, through the process of yoga, they can gradually get rid of these different contaminations and come to what we say Brahman consciousness, or pure spiritual consciousness, not Krishna consciousness, it's spiritual consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the highest level of spiritual consciousness.
Yeah. Okay. So Brahman consciousness, you mean is it impersonal Brahman?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what that verse you referred to as.
Okay.
Do you still have time to take more questions?
Yeah, we have two more hands I can see.
Yeah, few. So let's go ahead and ask one question at a time, so everybody gets a chance. Hemi Mataji, if you could kindly ask your question, please.
Thank you, Nina Mataji, Danvat Pranam, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Danvat Pranam Maharaj, it was wonderful to see you at Sadhu Sanga and see your ecstatic dancing. It was wonderful. My question is that we were discussing that we should see Krishna in everybody, like in every being. So how do you practically see Krishna in everybody? Like,
oh, that's there's verses that kind of illustrate it. Vidya vinaya sampane brahmani gavi hastini suni chaiva swapake cha panditat savadarshana. One does not see the body, but one sees the soul. They see both, but they focus on the reality, and the body is simply a covering over the soul. So every living entity has a particular type of body, but every living entity is pure spirit soul. So next to that pure spirit soul in that body is the Supreme Lord, who is the indwelling super soul. He is there. So every soul is accompanied by the Lord within. So to see the Lord actually means to become fully pure consciousness. But at least you can see through knowledge. That's another form of seeing by knowledge.
So Maharaj, if I see somebody, I should consciously remind myself that this is Krishna I am meeting.
Yeah, that person is part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is within that heart of that person. Therefore, we respect all living entities because in the body of all living entities, Krishna is there.
Thank you, Maharaj. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Aksar Dasa Anudas.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. So question is, I heard in an initiation lecture that Brahman lives in a present. So how not to ever go in the past or get glimpse of it?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Like how not to have the remembrance of past ever. Like in my 24 hours, I probably spend around mostly half or 1 hour in past only.
About past.
Oh, to live in the present rather than in the past. You're asking about how to live in the present?
Yes.
Yeah, Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives a nice little song. He says, forget the past that sleeps, ne'er the future dream at all. Act in times that are with thee, and progress he shall call. The past is gone. You can learn from. The future is just a dream, but the present is the only reality. So if you want to make the future more bright, work on the present. Because whatever you do in the present will extend itself and become the future eventually. So be present now. When you
Also, Maharaj, the lifespan reduces if we do Prajalpa, so we should always do Hari Katha or talk about the Lord. So, is there any Shastra Praman for that? Like, because we have to do some worldly talks on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so do it in the spirit of detachment. You do it as a necessity. Just like there's certain things that we have to do to take care of this body, because otherwise, if we don't take care of the body. It's a necessity. We have to eat, we have to pass stool. All of these things are something, but we don't put these things as the most important thing in life. We just do them because they're necessary. So you're doing your material work because there's some necessity there, but you put your time, energy, and importance on your practice of Krishna consciousness. That's all.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your great question. We have one more question in the chat. It's from Shivakumar Prabhuji. He just logged off because he had to go. He says, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. We hear that bhakti is not checked or constrained by karma, but we understand our conditioning is obstructing our focus and progress in devotional service. Please clarify what is the cause of different conditioning of the individual. Is it not his or her past karma?
Yeah, and your conditioning is your past material activities, which is which comes out in the form of reactions. Yeah, good and bad. That's conditioning, but when you engage in devotional service, you're reducing the effects of your past karma. And
So
then when Prabhupada said, when you when you have a fan, and if you want to stop the fan, you can pull out the plug and you can shut off the switch, but the fan will keep turning until the force of the fan eventually stops. So when we engage in devotional service, we're still getting the residue effects of our karma. It's still there until we reach a certain stage of bhakti, and then it's no longer affecting us anymore. We're free from that.
All right. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Maharaj.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The karma will go in due course of time. Just stay engaged. That's all. And the karma will also affect us as long as it's still there. We have to put it aside. We have to kind of like neglect it and just focus on the essence. That's all. If we're still engaged in material activities, we're still compounding more karma. We want to stop that. Engage in spiritual activities.
Yeah. So Maharaj, so I think there's a follow-up question with regards to this question here. So when we see the bhakti is not constrained by karma, and we continue to do the bhakti with our restrained consciousness, which is not full mindfulness, we are not really full mindful when we are still doing the bhakti. Do we still progress, or maybe at a very slow pace?
According to Krishna says, Yayatamam prapadyante tam sataiva bhajami aham. As you approach me, I reward you accordingly.
According to
you approach him 50%, you give 50%.
Yes, Maharaj, you're right. There's one quick question from Siddhak Singh Prabhu. He said, Maharaj, is trading considered as gambling?
Trading?
Trading, by trading, I think they mean in the stock market. If you're trading for living, day-to-day living, I mean, investing people's money in the stocks, etc., is that considered a gambling?
Yeah, it's gambling. Because it's speculative activities. You can either lose, you can either win. You gain something, you lose something. So it's based on gambling, yeah. And so it's gambling, it's restricted. Devotees don't engage in these things.
So if somebody's in that profession, Maharaj, and they're not doing speculation,
Then
they're following.
then let them use all of their profits to serve the Lord. That's all.
That's very good answer. Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing that extra tip, because if somebody's livelihood. Okay. Any further questions for His Holiness?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for wonderful class. Thank you so much for coming on the call and giving your wonderful association. So excited to see you in Charlotte.
Yeah, we'll get there sooner or
Thank
later.
you. Yes.
It's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now we're in Philadelphia. And this weekend is the New York Rath Yatras.
Yes, Maharaj.
Everybody should come.
Yeah.
It's one of the best Rath Yatras in ISKCON.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's powerful. Okay, so.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Maharaj. Please bless me so the consciousness gets purified. We're struggling, desperately need your blessings and help, Maharaj, all of us. We will offer.
Hate koro kaje mukhi bolo hari.
Very nice. How beautiful. Tai korbo. Okay.
That one's for you.
Thank you. Yes.
This is Bengali. You can understand Bengali, right?
অনেক ধন্যবাদ চন্দ্রমৌলি মহারাজ আপনার আশীর্বাদ দরকার
Let's offer our humble obeisances at Maharaj's lotus feet. Pancha
Thank you so very much, Maharaj.
Jai Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you,
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you everyone for joining. We'll close the call for today. Hari Bol.
Radhe Radhe.